Most of the paternity fraud cases that actually go to make it to court are usually in couples. We're not talking about a random girl who has multiple sex partner who's confused, or one particular man, and she's trying to say she slept with a barber, she slept with a mechanic, and next thing she now slept with maybe a lawyer who has a high profile status and she wants to give the child to the man. Paternity fraud. We're only discussing it now because DNA technology has been discovered. It wasn't years back, you understand? But this thing has been there from the day man existed. Women, among kings, some of their concubines and brides do actually have, sleep around with people and actually bring their child to the king. Yeah. And we've seen situations whereby a man actually secretly ran DNA tests, found out the child wasn't his, and accused the woman of paternity fraud. And when they went to court, they also found out that the child was not the woman's child too, because they had the baby swap. So probably.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Glascast Podcast. This evening, we'll be looking at the issue of paternity fraud, which is something that has torn families apart, has created a lot of problems. We'll be looking at it from different angles and from the economic side of it, the criminal aspect of it, and the moral issues surrounding paternity fraud. And with me in the studio this evening, to discuss that, I have a able and knowledgeable man here with me. To my far left is Barrister Ikenna Njoku. He's a triple qualified barrister and solicitor. He's qualified in Nigeria. I'm qualified in England and Wales and also qualified in Scotland. To my immediate left is Dr. Dan. He has a double doctorate degree and is a forensic expert. He'll be very knowledgeable in DNA analysis and DNA testing. He would provide us with the technical aspect of that, how that works, how that testing works, and how you're able to find out whether there is a paternity fraud or not. And my very learned colleague, Barrister Njoku, will give us the legal touch to it. And I'll tell you, it will be a very interesting and entertaining one. Sit back and enjoy yourself. So First, I would want to start with Dr. Dan, who is sitting beside me, and ask him, Dan, what is your thought about this issue of paternity fraud and how the issue of DNA? Much as I'm a lawyer who is a learned man and knows everything, I don't think I'm very, very knowledgeable in that area. Could you please educate us on the issue of paternity fraud and DNA testing?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Probably you did a very good one introducing us, and me being someone who is a forensic expert specialized in DNA analysis and done a lot of work on DNA itself, I'm going to narrow down my topic. Not talk about much about criminal investigation, but just narrow down to paternity fraud as regards DNA testing. You understand? And I'm going to probably give examples of how the society looks at things like that. And probably the legal implication will only just be at the surface, but probably we'll have an expert who will talk about things like that. Now, let me talk about what do you understand by paternity fraud? Paternity fraud, to be very sure, probably is a situation where a lady actually misidentifies the father of a child and probably gives, the biological father we're talking about here. We're not talking about, legal father, because whenever you misidentify the biological father of a child and actually gives it to another particular person to actually raise that child, and the father, because as the man he is, he doesn't know who actually deposited the DNA, probably to actually fertilize that egg. So probably, let me just give, for instance, in every cell, like as a man has a sperm cell, and the female has an egg cell, you get? In that particular cell, we actually talk about chromosomes. In actually each particular cell actually has, like the sperm cell actually has 23 chromosomes, which is the human own. And that particular 23 chromosomes will have 22 autosomes and one sex chromosome, which basically the sperm cell actually has what they call X and Y chromosomes. Yeah.
That determines the sex of the child.
Determines the sex of the child. You understand?
That.
At least you know that part. Because, because there was a time where men were chasing their wives out of the house, thinking that the woman determines the baby. But it's the man who actually determines the sex of the child. You understand?
Sorry, before you go ahead, what do you mean by autosomes? You said something about autochromes or
autosomes. Probably in a particular sperm cell, probably X. In fact, probably especially the reproductive cell themselves. Yes. Understand? They won't say autosomes. Autosomes are actually cells. Sorry, autosomes are actually chromosomes that actually identify for the body. They call it the somatic cells. So they probably don't play a role in the sex identification. Probably to actually probably put the assign sex to the particular individual. So they actually code for other parts, probably the color of your hair, your eyes, other things. You understand? It doesn't define you to be male or female. So the 22 autosomes play those roles. You understand? So they actually call them there. So they actually code for all those particular stuff. So, but the Y chromosomes or the S chromosomes, which could be contained in a particular cell, you understand, actually codes specifically for the sex.
Now, before you go, take us into the technical aspect and diving deep into the analysis and the testing and how it works. I want my colleague to look at a statement you made. We talked about misidentifying the father. Now, is it a case of misidentifying or is it a case of willfully? Because my people, they will say it's only a woman who knows the father of a child. Now, when we are talking about this DNA testing and paternity fraud, is it a case of misidentifying or willfully attributing the child to the wrong person? I don't know what your thought is on that in terms of the misidentification or the willful, transferring responsibility of the pregnancy or the baby into the wrong person.
Yeah, I think. Thank you very much. I think I would say it has to do with both.
Okay.
In the sense that there might be circumstances where the woman will surely know that my husband is not responsible the father of this child.
Okay.
And if it happens that the union that the woman had was maybe during the same period that she had the same union with the husband, and that might be confusing. So the woman might honestly be thinking that the husband is the father of the child, not knowing that it is.
Now let me take you. I know you are a lawyer. You don't deal with issues of morality.
Well,
Doc, I'm going to come to you very shortly.
Sure.
When we are talking about this issue of paternity fraud, misidentification, willfully transferring responsibility to the other person, what is your moral take on the issue of, because we are talking about a married woman or a married woman who has a husband, legally married to the husband, and going about to have a conjugal relationship with another man. What is your thought in terms of morality and all the, not about the legal argument, because there is no law against well, there is, because it could be a ground of divorce.
Yes.
So what is your thought morally on that?
Morally, it's wrong. Absolutely wrong. The reason why it's wrong is that it creates problems in the relationship. It might lead to the relationship to break down. A marriage that has remained healthy for a long time, when such a deception is discovered, if it is intentionally done.
Now, you've mentioned the issue of discovered. I'll revert to the forensic expert and who can take us through on how this can be identified, because sometimes you think that this is your blood while
thank you. Let's identify the word that whenever the word fraud, because I need to be more technical now. Let me go into, whenever the word fraud comes into anything, that means there's deception. You understand? This is not a problem of a lady willfully knowing that, unknowingly handing over the child. Let me say, such mistakes could happen. Probably, let me just give, for instance, if a lady actually delivers a child in a hospital and probably the baby swap, and probably the lady is not aware that wasn't her child, that is when it could happen. Probably the lady can be exonerated too, because if you run a DNA test on that particular child, none of the child's DNA will 99%. 99.9% match
Either the mother or
the mother or
father.
the child. So probably the lady. But we are talking about a situation where this particular child, whenever we actually, because I was trying to describe chromosomes, alleles, and stuff like that, but let me be infusing them in this time. We're talking about a situation because if we're doing a DNA test and we are using what they call autosomal STR.
No, I want us to talk to us as if we are
understand.
I'm 5-year-old. I explained to us
we are using that.
Testing.
I'm coming to that. If we actually do that, you will actually create a baby has what they call alleles in them. Understand? As long as the man and the woman. The man gives 50% of his own alleles, and the woman gives 50% of hers. So we expect that a child.
Yes. What does this alleles mean?
They are just alternate genes for the same purpose. You understand? Like in human beings. Let me just use one. You know the egg cell and the sperm cell. Now, if a sperm cell comes with 23 chromosomes and the egg cell comes with 23 chromosomes, they form a zygote. And you have probably the embryo, the fetus. You understand?
At least I understand
now you understand those ones, basic biology stuff. Yeah, you see that at that particular cellular level, you understand. That's what they call a haploid cell. It means he actually has one set of chromosomes. The whole set of chromosomes there, they have alleles in them. That's from the father. Let's just take, for instance, one sperm cell has that. Then the egg cell on its own has that particular alleles themselves. Now, once they fuse, the baby now has alleles from the father and one from the mother. Yeah. Now, this is what we as an expert look for to actually say this child doesn't belong to the man, or belongs to the man, or doesn't belong to the woman. So if you now actually pick up a child and actually take a blood sample, a body sample, probably saliva or blood or anything, you understand, belonging to that child, you actually do a DNA test. You actually look for a set of those alleles.
So you said saliva or blood?
Yeah, anything from the human. No. But probably from a child. Yeah, hair. You can collect from hair. Okay. You understand? You can collect from anywhere. You can collect semen, but probably a child can't produce semen at that particular stage.
So if you're talking of probably a child now, that's probably the purported dad wants to do a DNA test. If he's able to get a blood sample, a saliva, or what again?
Probably saliva is what most people use a lot. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're able to get the saliva or the blood or any specimen that can give you what you need, then that's you good to go.
Yeah.
Now, when you get it, what do you do with it? So how do you analyze it, or to be able to get these alleles that you're talking about?
Okay. Yeah. You actually, probably, is a technical process, long process where we have different steps. So probably we need to have the kit to do the DNA extraction. They will now do what they call PCR amplification. They will now do what they call capillary electrophoresis. So probably once we're able to get to that stage, we'll now get down to a software. Probably we use to interpret them. Probably in our own field, we use what they call the GMapper software. So once they're able to get that, you have to get one for the father and for the child especially. If the mother, in some cases, we have seen situations whereby men secretly, because I'm going to tell stories about the ones I've done before. So some men secretly do DNA tests to identify if they can find their alleles in the baby without the mom. But in a legal process, you're supposed to have all of them. You have to have the mother's full DNA profile, the father's full DNA profile, and the child's full DNA profile, so that you'll be able to see that the alleles in the child matches that of the father and the mother. You understand? Why is this necessary? We've seen situations whereby a man actually secretly ran DNA tests, found out the child wasn't his, and accused the woman of paternity fraud. And when they went to court, they also found out that the child was not the woman's child too, because they had the baby swap. So probably it's necessary for you to have that. But if you are rest assured, take for it, that could be men secretly do that. You understand? But if you're rest assured that the standard was followed, you understand? You're supposed to have that of the mother as well, so that the lady can't deny that. And the lady you actually know, because in many cases, the lady must surely know who is, as long as this is a union. Now, we're looking at the situation. Most of the paternity fraud cases that actually go to make it to court are usually in couples. We're not talking about a random girl who has multiple sex partner who's confused or one particular man, and she's trying to say she slept with a barber, she slept with a mechanic, and next thing she now slept with maybe a lawyer who has a high profile status and she wants to give the child to the man.
I'm going to come back to you on the process and the final result and so on, but I want to talk to our legal luminary here in terms of this issue of paternity fraud. I know in the UK, paternity fraud is not a crime. It's just a paternity deception, and people name it fraud. But actually, it's not a crime. It's not a crime in the UK, and it's not a crime in Nigeria. Now,
it's not really criminal stuff. It's more of a civil matter.
So
probably we'll kind of attach it to like a major crime or not.
No, it's not.
Even though we call it paternity fraud, you understand? It is not necessarily.
We are using that word fraud loosely because it's not a crime.
I think the legal effects.
It's just more like a deception.
The legal effects that it has in the UK, basically, is in terms of property. Maybe, not even maybe. If I have a child and eventually I discover that the child is not mine, definitely the child is not going to partake in my property.
But again, there's also the issue of you can sue the spouse or the wife or the female partner for deceit in civil action, and it's also a ground for divorce because of.
It's a ground for divorce.
It's not just the properties. If you're looking at the property, that's where you're talking about when the child must have grown.
Inheritance. It has to do with inheritance.
It doesn't have to. The child doesn't
what about what the man faces before discovering the child? We've seen situations where there was one we saw a man actually. This was even a lawyer. He actually had probably raised two sons, and those two sons were now his. And how did he discover? One of the son had an issue, and they needed a kidney transplant. And he himself actually, the man had issue. He needed a kidney transplant, and probably they wanted to see if one of the children matches his, and probably now found out that none of the whole thing matches them. So that puts inside the question. This man is more than 70 years old, and he was threatening that he was going to sue the wife, and actually he knows that the mother actually knows who the father of the child, the biological father was talking. He is the legal father, because we need to separate this. You could be some biological children can be raised by a legal father. So he was a legal father who never knew he raised these kids, and now he said he was going to sue the biological father. That everything he has paid and passed through, the lady is going to get them down.
I do not think the word father is appropriate in this circumstance. You can refer to the person as a parent, but not a father.
All right. Let me take you.
Maybe in a legal aspect, but in a biological aspect, we look at the biological father. We use that word father. But if you're saying legal parents, illegal in that particular, that's just it.
I recall when we are doing. I think it was in my first year or second year in the university in law school. We did customary law.
Yeah.
They told us, in Igbo tradition, in Igbo custom, the custom is whoever pays the bride price owns the child.
Oh yeah.
But now, under the test for compatibility, to test whether a customary law passes the test of compatibility, it has to be it must not be contrary to a written law. It must not be repugnant to natural justice, equity, or good conscience. Now, it brings us to the issue of this custom, where I have paid the bride price, wherever the child comes from, it belongs to the man who paid the bride price. But we had one radical lecturer then who argued, if I used it, then we are much younger, and when we hear that kind of word, how can the lecturer be speaking like this? He says, for him, he doesn't believe in that custom that whoever has paid the bride price has the child. That for him, whoever spermatozoad.
I guess that's the right one. From my own angle,
whoever spermatozoad, that's whoever that planted that seed is the owner of that child.
Well, he's correct. He's correct. Can I say something here? Because if you're taking a look at that particular part, this issue of paternity fraud, we're only discussing it now because DNA technology has been discovered. It wasn't years back, you understand? But this thing has been there from the day man existed. Women, among kings, some of their concubines and brides do actually have sleep around with people and actually bring their child to the king. And
yeah,
the
but
king
what the eye does
blesses
not see,
them.
the mind does not grieve about. If you
Yeah,
don't know, you don't know.
yes,
You don't worry
because
about it.
we've
now
seen
we are talking
situation.
about
Now we are talking
now.
let's talk about this fraud issue here. You understand? It's because there are some women who actually know that you don't love this man, and you in your heart don't want this man to be the biological father of your child, but you are with that man for the resources. Because this is the deception we're trying to look at. And you actually look at that man for that deception. Then you are going outside, probably sleep with someone. And I'm going to tell you what I looked at that happened. There was this one that actually happened. It was I'll tell you, when I was doing my research work, my doctorate degree work, it happened to be that I applied for funding and actually got part funding. Then my supervisor now actually told me that she had kits, some free DNA kits to actually give to me, that if I could be able to use them, because you need to refrigerate these things while they'll be transported to the lab. So somehow they were not refrigerated. So he said if I can actually make use of them. So somehow I now had excess kits to do. So I now actually told some of my friends and told them that, hey, I have excess kits to use. If you want to run DNA tests or anything, that you can give it to me. So some of my friends, male friends, indicated interest, chatted me up and secretly asked me to actually, I'd like you to do some DNA tests for us. And these were 5 of them actually sent for this time I didn't use saliva, I used blood, because it was easy to transport, because there was what they call FTA card. So you actually put your blood on that FTA card. It could preserve that blood sample for 10 years without degradation. So when they transported it, they actually sent it to me. I actually got the whole thing, then used they actually extracted the DNA, checked the result for the man and his children, excluding the wife.
Now, the man.
This was done secretly.
The man was doing this thing secretly. Or okay, he got the sample of his children.
Yeah. Blood samples.
Got his own sample.
He goes on blood sample. Send to you. Okay. And let me be specific, because I know UK have the laws for this, because any tests are done at that particular time is kind of administered in court. You understand? It was one of my friends back in Nigeria. So, and all these friends were in Nigeria back then, because everyone in Nigeria can acknowledge that DNA test is very expensive in Nigeria. It is twice more expensive now with the exchange rate. So these friends actually sent me these samples, but they were questioning their wives, because they've been hearing rumors. Before a man begin to question who the wife and the wife's his whole paternity, the women show sign of, they show their emotional sign. So
the sign might not be there, and
women cheating.
You mean signs of infidelity?
Infidelity. They actually sense that, and somehow they look at the child and probably they'll begin to question. Men probably at first, when the child was born, wouldn't notice that. You understand? But as they're actually growing, they find that there's a bit of reaction. And if the lady maybe by mistake, the lady says it carelessly, if you're saying anything, you're not really the father of the child or anything, and you begin to say that it's time you have to check that. And even in my own case, I would have even said, if you even have resources or you have money, do your paternity test while the child was born. But some men, because of these things are not readily available, these people actually brought the sample. I'm getting it down to somewhere. 5 of them around the test, 4 of them, their child was the biological child. 1 of them wasn't his. And he had the wife had 3 kids for him, and the last child wasn't his. And guess what? The guy was a soldier, so the guy wasn't always around. He goes out, stays a few months, comes back, and they actually knew that the lady had an ex-boyfriend that wasn't there for her when this man was providing everything for him. So because the man's absent, she needed maybe emotional, need attention or anything, and the guy gave it to her. So probably she not took advantage of that, and the child wasn't his. So 2 of this guy's kids belonged to him, but the last child wasn't his.
I think I will support what you have just said. If you have a suspicion, as far as I'm concerned, that there is infidelity from your spouse, the woman, let's be specific now, I will advise you to do a paternity test. The legal reason that, in my opinion, that I want that I'm saying this is because I know that under Scottish law, that as a parent, if you are not doing your parental duties, as a father, if you are not doing your parental duties,
Yeah.
you can be forced by the courts to do it.
Yeah,
But-
it's not peculiar to Scotland, even in
But-
Nigeria, US, or UK, anywhere. If you are, I mean, there is a responsibility for a man to take care of his children.
Exactly. But as a parent who is not the father, the court cannot force you to take care of another man's child.
Child.
Yeah.
That's,
So
that's,
it
that's
will
only
be-
when it's identified.
Yeah, so that's why the earlier the better. And in as much as you are suspecting that, hey, this woman that I'm calling my wife is not faithful to me, go and do a paternity test.
Now, the point you raised is a very valid point. But you know, at some point, some of the stories I've had are usually the cases of the first child.
Oh yeah.
These wives were already pregnant, few weeks, disengaging
Majority.
from their ex and walking into marriage. I'll tell you one.
You're
funny-
very, very correct
I'll tell
about
you one
that.
funny-
Majority of the cases usually the first
First child.
child, and I'll tell you the reason for
And,
that.
and the reason, so at that time, the issue of suspicion you are raising becomes very, very difficult. I had a very, very funny experience. I had a very good friend when we were in the university. Very good friend. I was in Imo State University then. He was in Futo studying. And he was going out with my cousin, a female cousin. I was the link man. He would come to my house and this girl would come to there and I would go on exile for them. You know what you mean? When you go on exile for a roommate.
So you are facilitating the whole show.
Well, they were two consenting adults. They were two consenting adults. Now, it happened the day this girl was doing her traditional wedding. This my friend came around. I don't know, for some strange reasons, the house is just 2 houses away from the lady that was getting married. This my friend came, and this lady, with all the things happening in her traditional marriage, found time to sneak out to come and see this my friend.
Are you serious?
Yes, and
the
if
friend
not that,
was the friend the ex.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, they were,
We're
in fact,
coming to that.
We are saying, well, it wasn't even the ex until the marriage.
the marriage,
So
exactly.
she was even still the boyfriend. While the marriage was, they were doing the marriage.
Okay, let
And
me tell
there's
you.
no way they will see each other without a union.
Now,
and
now you know that for my moral upbringing, my Chineke marriage. I said, this is not going to happen under my watch.
Your Chukwu will get married.
I said, this
So
is
you
not
refuse to go on
I
exile.
saw I refused to go on exile. Like I voted their part.
Okay.
So imagine him there, if I had gone on exile for them.
If you had allowed the union to occur.
Let me tell you my own experience based on this. You know, because as a matter of fact, you see, whenever this particular idea of paternity fraud is very, very common among people who have exes, and you see this word they call bestie. Beware of that. You understand? If you see a lady who say, now I usually tell people be very careful with ladies who have too many male friends surrounding them. Yeah. And you're getting married to that particular person. You have to know your stance in that particular relationship. Now, let me tell you something
What's
here.
bestie?
Now, this is the common word that
If
you
somebody is of the opposite sex, he's your boyfriend.
No,
or your
yeah,
girlfriend.
no. They use the word loosely. Let me tell you how that bestie stuff starts. It's just a random guy who is more of he's like a girl established the father. I'm in a romantic relationship with this particular person. Maybe it's somebody who is higher than her in status. Let me just say, for instance, she's a student, and this guy, she's dating a working class guy who is higher than her in status, provide resources. Remember, one of the reasons why this paternity fraud, sometimes ladies don't end up marrying the man they really want to have the baby for, is because maybe the guy they're in love with and having too much romantic relationship with is not financially capable. So then I have another particular person. Maybe he has one default. Maybe he's not handsome enough, or maybe he's not performing well in bed. Because ladies need 4 things to actually meet a man.
Function.
Yeah, 4 things. So they need money, they need energy, and someone who gives them that energy. They need attention, and they need time.
Yeah.
So
What do you mean by somebody who gives them that energy? Is it in terms of the baby?
let me tell you something about energy. Let me tell you, this is something you guys, because this is another lecture I usually understood even before I actually got married. Understand? There's that energy, masculine energy I'm talking about that men exude. is not, and men need to keep that masculinity that attracts the women. From afar, they actually sense that, and they will actually get attracted to you.
But you seem to be an expert in this female.
I am an expert. Why would I can't be a person expert. I don't really judge. I don't really judge the men. I don't. You sometimes. You could look at the men's ray. You're all expert. Actus reus sometimes is what we are looking at. But sometimes look at the intent. Why do ladies have to cheat on their spouses to actually have this thing? It's because there's something they are lacking. And they go for that particular person. And this particular ex-boyfriend they have, they actually get attracted to this particular person. And for a lady to actually get married, as long as Africa or Nigeria is, the first thing you actually look at for that man is resources. And that's money.
Now,
and whenever they are dating a boyfriend, they're having a boyfriend, maybe that guy gives them too much attention. Because men who give so much attention like that, probably they don't have anything they're doing. Yeah, they don't have. They have time. They have time. They have time for you. They don't have time for anything that's gonna bring money into their account. So ladies really love that. Now, if you actually give them that, then they now actually see a higher person in the status. They don't really like that person romantically, like the way they like their boyfriend. Now, their boyfriend could be a bad boy. Because most ladies at that young stage actually like bad boys, guys who actually go a long way to take risks. But they know deep inside of them that this guy can't be the father of my child. I'm just giving this. They don't want to have a family with that man, but somehow they really love him for every other thing he provides. Then they now say, okay,
they love you for the bad reasons.
For all the bad reasons, maybe the guy probably gives them hype or probably lasts longer in bed, all those kind of reasons that doesn't really make sense. But they actually put all those things. Yeah. So yeah, last longer. They do a lot of stuff.
But can I ask, in this our site,
yes,
can you say that people should go and do DNA tests on their kids?
See, sometimes this is a question that's ongoing right now. There is a petition online that they were saying that men, they should sign a petition that paternity test should be compulsory at childbirth. You understand? I will not sit down here to say it should be a must. I'm saying it should be made available. You understand?
What is your reason for that?
Yeah, because sometimes when you actually enforcing that particular stuff, you actually have to take a look at the legal structure of that particular country.
Now, let me tell you, I'm totally against it.
Against it becoming compulsory?
Yes, at birth.
Yeah, well, I am not against it, but I want it to be available. So I will not actually do that.
Especially for the first, I would argue, I would argue against it, making it compulsory for the first child.
No. I've done a test where the last child was the particular person.
I wouldn't encourage it or support it being done for the first child of the family for one or two reasons I'm going to put forward. You know, the Bible says at the time of ignorance that we might be forgiven.
When you use the Bible, I was looking.
It's a reference, and which is true.
Yeah, at the time of ignorance, we may be forgiven. It could have been a very innocent act. Innocent in quotes. I can tell you, all of us in this studio, nobody got married as a virgin.
Do virginity count for men?
No, I'm just coming. I'm just laying a foundation. Nobody.
I wish a female was here. Maybe next one I need to bring a female and ask the question.
Nobody got married here as a virgin, and in the course of that, we did. We planted our white oak, found our wife.
No, I'm going to let you come now, but I'm going to say something about that.
Yeah. I will land on you when I'm landing.
Yeah. I have a lot to say.
If you take it, for instance, a girl might be in a relationship, a sexual relationship, is having regular sexual intercourse because Hausa man one day went and knocked Ashawo, and Ashawo man was holding him on his trouser to pay him. Say, they sweet me, they sweet you, who go pay? So they sweet everybody. Now, they are in this relationship, and sometimes marriage text very quickly. Somebody can come down from Lagos those days and go to Imo State University and grab one lady before you know he said they are married. And the young man he was dating in his class would go heartbroken. So in that interval, something could have happened which wasn't intentional, which wasn't a paternity fraud. So exposing it at that time, I wouldn't want to go that way. It's better to let a sleeping dog lie.
I beg to disagree with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I beg to disagree.
Your
with that.
second reason. You said two reasons. Your second reason.
No, this one is sufficient enough. I don't think
Let me say something. Let me say something here because one, if I was expecting you to say one of the reasons could be financial issues because not everybody has the resources to undergo paternity fraud. I've seen probably in rural areas where people are really struggling to feed, but they had a child, and the man being as as looking up to the wife to actually have a baby for him, and the man never knew he was impotent, and the lady had an idea, so she went outside, slept with someone to boost the man's ego, and brought the child to the man. We've seen that happen, and if, for instance, you tell this man that this child is not yours. Even with emotional connection, connection and how much time and everything, emotion he had invested in the child outside any other financial stuff. Not every man can actually have that money to pay.
Yeah, you are making my point.
That could be the only reason I could say I will not make it compulsory. But if that is taken care of, probably the government made it free.
So what is the reason?
It has to be.
Why
I'll give a reason why.
Now,
let me say, I'm coming out to something. I'm arriving to something. I really looked at resources at the particular. But I have to tell you, it has to be compulsory.
Societal reason.
Okay,
social reason that he wants to.
Yes.
Whether he's serving any social good.
Yes.
I don't think so. It's only.
I disagree. I strongly disagree because as someone who's a forensic expert, I disagree. For a man raising another man's child is wrong.
Is another man's child only when he's aware?
No,
And you are going
whether you're aware or not.
Is that not true?
No, why should you? No, you see, while you're looking at this man, put it under your own shoes too. You manage to say that I'm not trying to say you, but would you be happy that another man is somewhere sleeping with your wife and you are paying the bills and the woman brings the child to you and you keep paying the bills, then later in life, because even at that, it's only the fear of what sometimes these women you're looking at don't regret having that child outside. They're only regretting how people will react to it.
They don't have that.
And they're not bringing that. You don't pay all the resources.
I want to approach
waste all your resources on that particular child. After wasting your resources, then you now discover that child is not yours or the father of the child. Because this lady, trust me, if this particular man that actually
Dog, I don't want to use the word
become the biological father of that child had more resources than she would never ever had married you before.
Let me say something.
So
I'm sorry to say what I'm going to say now.
Yes.
I don't intend to offend you.
Yep.
You know, this issue of the way you are going about it and the way you are sounding is always trying to nail the woman.
No.
But it takes to commit the crime of conspiracy.
Excuse
this
me.
committee for this issue of paternity fraud that we are talking about, it takes two people: the man who slept with another man's wife and the woman who slept with another man who is not his husband.
So why wouldn't the lady take the child to the biological father?
Now,
why would she bring it to another man?
There has never been an issue where there is kind of all the paternity fraud cases we are seeing. We only found out that this woman gave the husband a child that does not belong to the man. It's a case of he gave the man a child who doesn't belong to the man. Have we ever found out who was the original son who is the original father of the child that was given to another man? So it's always
the biological father we're talking about.
The biological father.
So have we ever in cases of where it was found out that this child does not belong to this woman, is always stigmatizing the woman, punishing her, raising the hair. Have we ever found a case where this is the man who was responsible for this child?
Okay.
Yes. Hold on.
Right.
Let's approach this thing from this angle. This man A slept with woman B.
Yeah.
Without knowing that woman B got pregnant and left. Woman B married man C.
Yeah.
Man C found out after many years they've had up to 3 children,
Yep.
found out that he wasn't the father of their first child, but was prepared to forgive whatever it is that has happened and raise this child as his own. Man A found out by chance that woman B has a child that is mine. Now, how are you going to analyze this scenario? Do you think that man A has a right over that child?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, he doesn't have any right.
He is the biological father.
The biological father. There are so many runaway fathers.
No, he's not a runaway father. He is very, very much involved in taking care of that child.
No.
And he had found out that this child is mine.
No, let me understand your analysis.
Yes.
The man who found out later
Yes.
was the biological child, but wasn't responsible.
Biological father.
Was the biological father, but wasn't responsible for the upbringing of the child.
He wasn't responsible because he never knew.
He never knew.
He had no idea.
But the mother knew.
But the mother was aware.
And you want to say you should blame the
the mother is aware?
I am painting a scenario for you. The reason I'm painting this scenario.
There is no way you tell me the mother never knew.
No, it's not always.
The mother would know.
No,
in this particular case, you don't tell me women don't know. Don't make it look like that. Because
I've watched this paternity court in the US.
Yes.
When they brought a woman, it was a paternity issue. The woman it wasn't mentioned like 3 different men.
Now you're talking about someone with multiple sex partner. We're talking about a situation. He had one guy who was the ex, and he now got married. Now, if you're talk about that's a different scenario.
That's
a different scenario. But you're talking about a lady who slept with multiple men at a particular time. She has to be confused because let me tell you something. If a lady who is a nymphomaniac, like she actually can't stay an hour without having sex, actually sleep with one in the morning, sleep with a different man in the evening, sleep with another one in the afternoon, and probably she's gonna get confused. And she's ovulating. While she's ovulating, out of the numerous sperm cells that actually got into her private parts, I don't want to say the word here because I don't know how you say it.
Just an ordinary part.
Probably got into her uterus, passed through her vagina, got into her uterus, fertilized her egg at the fallopian tube. She has to know that now these are sperm cells from different sources. You understand? And when I have multiple guesses, so she doesn't know who it is. That's a different scenario.
So let me ask you then.
And that's a different scenario.
Dan, let me ask you then.
Yes.
The fact that this particular biological father wants his child, a male child, wants his son.
Yes.
Do you think that
it should be given to him?
He should have any right over that child? Because at the end of the day, remember that this needs to serve a social purpose, a social need. You understand? The position of the law as it is now, I don't think that in assuming there is no certainty, there is no DNA to find out that even though that this man, is suspecting this child looks like me, I might be the father, but he doesn't know for certain. So there is no certain document that he can take to court to prove to the court that this is my child. You understand? So I understand that circumstance. But assuming a forensic expert, as you are, is able to get the DNA of the father, get the DNA of the child,
and that's what my job is. Yeah.
And then find out, certainly this is your child.
Scattering families.
So do you think?
I'm not telling the truth.
Scattering families.
Let me tell you something.
You are a family destroyer.
I would gladly take that as a compliment. Let me tell you something here. Is that you have actually mentioned something like you're a forensic expert destroys the family. Let me tell you what happened. That very time I actually did a particular test, and before I didn't even tell you how that test I did during when I was doing my project work, and actually revealed that before I actually emailed that result to the guy because I didn't want to see it. I actually had to put it up, and I had belonged to this group chat, and I asked the questions like, "Hey, I got a scenario like this. I didn't tell them because usually it's my own job to keep everything confidential. You understand? That's one thing we do. You understand? We don't tell. I don't even need to know who the name of the person is. But this time it was my work. You understand? And I was doing that. So I actually got it. Then when I actually threw the question there, that look at what happened. And do you think I should release the results or any other stuff? I'll tell you, all the men in that particular group said, release the results. Half of the females said, oh, no, you shouldn't. You want to destroy a beautiful family and all the rest. I asked them the question, and I asked them the question that, do you want the truth? 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 No, that was, of course, that was doing it. No, you don't understand. I got attacked. I got attacked.
Now,
someone, this time you say destroying this family, that's what they actually tagged. They told me that one of them even said that, so you went all the way from Nigeria to study forensic science. I'm very, very disappointed in you. This is a lady. She told me she must have said a lot. I'm very disappointed in you. You did this and you did that to be destroying families. And I said to myself, maybe that's what you do for a living too. And you're actually getting kicked on the butt. Let me tell you something. Women don't want to be discovered. As long as I'm concerned, this is where the deceit. Like this thing has been ongoing. During our forefathers' time, our ancestors, and DNA never existed. And men really, really, really want to know where they are. And let me tell you something. When a woman has a child for her ex or whoever it is,
let me tell you
this woman actually tells your biological father. I've seen it happen. A lady was sitting down, and actually, 2 days to her marriage, she went and slept with her ex. Not just a random. What happened? The ex was just a random poor guy who doesn't have much. She just knew that if I marry this particular guy, that this guy is not going to actually provide the resources to actually take care of my child. But somehow she actually saw somebody who is ready to marry her and take care of her, give her the better life, best life ever, has a car, has a house, have everything. She just told the guy that I don't think I'm married. Look at time. I'm in my late 20s and all the rest. You're not making this thing. Let me marry this guy. Don't worry, it's all right. And the guy just told him, the guy started crying.
When this conversation was happening.
I'm telling you, this is a paternity fraud review. And this lady was using emotional attachment. So upon all the time we spent and everything, you know what? Let's just have one last shot so that we will actually do this. And that lady was ovulating. She now actually had it with this ex-boyfriend, had the whole rumble, everything, entanglement and all the rest. And boom, she went back to the husband. 2 days. And next thing is, wedding night, the husband also slept with her. But she knew that she was ovulating. And when she had the child, she looked at the nose, the eyes, the phenotypic appearance looks like the ex-boyfriend. Doesn't look like the man. But the man accepted the child anyway. This man raised this child, did everything for the child. In the future, this ex, he actually made it in life. Because at that particular time, he was still a young guy who doesn't know his answer. He didn't make it in life. The man was not struggling in his business. And when he was struggling in his business, the ex, not the biological father, the social parent, you could say, that's the time. Because I'm just looking at maybe it's the legal father or where the social parent. But this is the real biological father who is married to the boyfriend, was still struggling. He was still a young man at that particular time, handsome, good looking. But give him men. Wasn't
that enough punishment for the man who took away his girlfriend?
No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. Look, the society we come from.
The man needs to be
punished. We don't come from society. We were
the young man's girlfriend.
Look, I'm trying to talk about something that happened in Nigeria. This is a society that doesn't have social structure to actually help a man that is unemployed. If you're unemployed, you're broke. Now, a man happened to make it in life, happened to be because this thing happened. Look at where this scenario happens very, very well. A lady was a student, doing well in school. She had a boyfriend who was also a student, not financially stable. She now had a husband, a suitor, who happened to be very rich but not very educated. The lady deep inside of her won't marry that uneducated rich man if the boyfriend of that particular time was financially buoyant. But give it time, somehow she now left that guy and got married because you live in a society where they say the older you get a woman, this is your time, this is your peak period, you need to get married and all that. She was uncertain about the future. Now, what happened is like this ex-boyfriend, anytime this lady posts the picture of that particular boy on social media, on Facebook, he looks at the boy, he feels like, oh my God, this is my son. What is another man raising my son? He came back. He went. He traveled abroad, made some money, came back, and challenged the man.
Now,
the man now had no clue because the man is not educated. I won't say he's an illiterate, but he's not as educated as the boyfriend. The woman told him that, I need this child, is mine. No. And the man said, this is my own child, I'm the one raising the child. They said he kept on doing that. And it got a particular time, the lady was confused. So let me tell you, deep inside this lady, she was happy the boyfriend came. The biological father came. Because she was already getting tired of the man because she never loved that man at first. But because of societal pressure and everything, she actually had to marry this man so that she doesn't say,
the man pressure is high.
Not the man pressure, that is parental pressure. Let me tell you something. You live in a rural society where sometimes parents, they actually tell the lady that, what are you doing with this young man? And the lady will be like, he's a young guy. Oh, you want to stay here to this man 10 years? He won't marry you. Go and marry this man who will take care of you and do everything. You now marry the man, now have a child for the other man.
What you're saying is it that this lady left the man that she was previously married to?
No, they were not married.
Divorced the man.
They were not married.
No, see, let me tell you something. If that particular biological father, the very moment paternity fraud is discovered in a family, tell me that marriage is over.
Well,
man's ego will be protected. Let me tell you what will happen. Let me tell you something.
The marriage may not be over because the man,
if it's been established,
be willing to take care of the child.
Unless the man is a simp.
No, you don't need to be a simp.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you why that
hang on that.
Some men, what some men do is that they will actually say, go on, if the man has actually had other children, let me say the first child doesn't belong to him, he cannot have subsequent kids that are not his. He might actually say, these are my own kids. You see this particular one, he might actually say, I don't want any issue. Woman, go with your child and this man and move on. Let me take on this. I want to be married. And that's what happened in this particular situation.
That is why some people are saying that DNA and the forensic experts are breaking families. Because
it has to. No, it is the truth. Because whenever a deceit, you're not breaking family. It is exposing a lie. It doesn't break a family. So when a fraud has been committed, and DNA, you bring in a forensic expert, he actually exposes a lie. And that particular lie has been ongoing. That deceit is not being exposed. How will you say you broke up the person? There are people who pray for divine favor from God to say, God, just give me that spiritual, to see it in the spirit realm, but they don't have it. And next, what happens? Science, technology gives you the answer, and some of your own fears have now been reviewed. You should be thanking that technology for exposing.
We are not taking your job away from you.
No,
we are encouraging you. We are encouraging you to continue doing your DNA analysis and keep destroying families and so on.
Let me ask you. Keep on awakening people.
I saw you are very passionate about it today.
No. It has to be.
It's a one culture as far as I'm
concerned. If you say that, you're disrupting. No. We're exposing bad people in a family. Okay, you're trying to tell me if this paternity fraud happens. Sorry. You now actually conduct a DNA test and all the kids are yours.
People are happy in their homes.
Why would you be very happy?
Look, let me tell you father for them somewhere. They are happy in their homes. You've got to bring
and why would the lady at first? You are a woman.
Let me ask you a question.
Why would you sleep with another person when you have been betrothed to another person?
Well,
that is so wrong.
In the Bible, that is so wrong. Magdalene. Jesus Christ, when they wanted to stone Magdalene in the Bible, he said, if you are he who is free from sin, throw the first stone, and they all ran away. Now let me ask you a question.
You look at it from that angle. That's not the kind of sin we're talking about here.
Just hold on. Go on the premise of this passage of the Bible I have quoted. The project work you did,
yes,
for the DNA test you did, you discovered that the woman had other children for a different man, right?
For the one who the last child.
Yes. Did you discover who that man was?
Oh, discover
who had that child for that woman?
That's not my business to actually discover that. Let me tell you
what. The issue of DNA test is more like dealing with women. I would say that
no, you deal with that other man. The man needs to go tell the man.
There are other ways that we can use DNA for medical reasons and other medical benefits. But to use it
it's not medical. We use it to get criminals. Let me tell you. We never talk about the criminal side of it because that's why I'm a forensic expert. My DNA, we only narrate paternity fraud. If they actually go into aspects which I've used this same DNA to get criminals,
let's leave that one for now.
We won't live here. So let us narrow it down to that particular time.
That's an important thing that I want to ask. Barry Oscar. Are you saying that men shouldn't want to know whether they are the biological fathers of their children?
That's a good question.
Good. My position is that if you are married to your wife, you guys are home and dry.
You should blindly trust her.
Obviously, marriage is all about trust.
So she should go around sleep with other people. Then you should take the child. That's not biologically yours.
Hang on.
Let me finish. If there is, there is no need, there is no reason why you should get up one morning, if for any reason, my wife suspects me, it's going to raise an issue.
Okay. And
for me to go and start suspecting my wife, okay, I want to go and do DNA for my children.
Okay.
If my wife does, assuming that I'm a woman,
yes,
flip it,
yes,
and my husband gets up one morning to go and do a DNA test, and at the end of the day, they all belong to him. That will be the end of that marriage for me. I tell my wife, any day you think that I'm not faithful to you in this marriage, and you go to do things to find out whether I'm faithful, I would allow you, when you are done with it and discover that I'm faithful to you, that will be the end of the marriage.
Okay. You are actually applying this thing from the angle, maybe from your moral or religious aspect. But let me tell you, the world
family is all about morality. It's built on foundation of morality.
Does not operate on those principles. Let me tell you something. Let me explain something to you. Why do you think men are scared whenever a woman cheats on them? Let me tell you the scientific reason why. Do you know during sex? Just not interrupt me. Let me explain this explanation out. Let me tell you this explanation. Do you know that whenever a woman has sex with a man, she releases 4 major hormones? One of the hormones is dopamine, that's for pleasure. One is endorphin, that's for stress. One is
oxytocin.
I'm coming down to oxytocin. I wanted to say that one. Serotonin, you understand, which is for happiness, and oxytocin is for bonding. Good. Do you see the amount of oxytocin a woman releases is far greater than the amount of oxytocin a man releases. Okay. A man can have sex with a woman now and release very little amount of oxytocin and doesn't bond with the woman. He won't even remember he even had anything with that lady. He will just see the lady and pass over. But a lady thought it in her mind, because men are not custodian of sex. They're only custodian of relationship. If women themselves, actually, because if a man and a woman is locked in a room and sex happens, you think you're going to blame the man. The man will actually make his own attempt. The person who has the right of refusal or right of acceptance is the woman. So, if the woman says yes, that is one aspect. Then when she now actually does that, she now bonds with the man. You are a husband, she now bonds with the man. Do you know the problems you're going to have in your life as a man when a lady bonds with a man? Now, there's two different things. Now, paternity fraud,
there are two questions that I want to ask you.
Paternity fraud and DNA test didn't expose just one particular fraud committed. It exposed 2. One is infidelity, and 2 is a fraudulent child.
Okay.
2, because
it's that child fraudulent because
it's the fraudulent because you got it fraudulently. Look at what happened. Why had to call it a fraudulent child? It's a fraudulent child because in this particular time you are fraud.
We respect you as a forensic expert.
As a deceit, another deceit. You understand? If you're looking at it, you do not get the child. Look, let me tell you why it's a deceit. The lady actually had this particular entanglement with another guy. Brought the child deep inside of her. She and the guy knew. She kept it a secret. Why wouldn't the lady tell the man? Because if, for instance, I'm a man, it's my biological prerogative as a man to impregnate as many men as I want. Let me tell you, that's the biological way we are. And if a man like me actually impregnates a woman outside, and and the lady tells me that this is your child, come and take responsibility of the child. You understand? I will man up and say, this is my own child.
Say something. Barrister, you just make your point.
I'm after the social implications of this paternity fraud. I want a yes or no answer from you to these two questions. Number one, should a man have the right to know whether he's the biological father of his children?
Yeah. Should I answer?
I want a yes or no answer from
yes. You. Of course,
then
yes.
Secondly,
100% yes.
Secondly, should the biological father, in a situation where he is not the husband of the woman, have a right over the child when he finds out that this child is mine? Yes or no answer?
I will answer
yes.
Let's answer because you answer it.
Yes.
Should he have a right over that child?
I'll give
so you are in support of taking that child and breaking the home, assuming the social parent wants to keep the child.
If the social parent wants to keep the child, that is now that's under the law. This is not actually science anymore.
Because if he has a right,
let me tell you something.
That means the social parent cannot keep the child.
My own job is to identify the biological parent of the child. You understand?
So that is your position.
That is my own position.
If the
biological parent says they want to take care of the child, you understand? I say yes. I have to give a reason why. Because this is how the world is created. We are looking at the social aspect. Let me tell you something. Science beats sociology or even beats religion at any time. You understand? Because look at how animals are. Look at how they are biologically wired. We are all social animals. We are all intelligent animals. We are trying to neglect that part that we were once like that. Biologically, this is what we are. And we're trying to move into other aspect that probably trying to protect and make it look like.
Anyway, I think
make it look like animals.
Let me say something. Let me make a
biological. You and I are animals.
Thank you,
we are not amoral. We are moral human beings. We are moral creatures.
We are moral creatures.
I want to ask you this question because you are after not scattering.
You already know my position, so you know the answer.
No. I want to say something. You find out Dan,
in the name of peace.
Hang on.
You find out that this biological father has found out that he's the father, but the man who is the social parent wants to keep the child.
Yes.
So what is your position? That
my position, if the social parent wants to keep the child, he can keep it because, he's been responsible for that child and he's taking care of it. He never denied that. Probably this is the issue of DNA test came out of the blues by people like Doc who wants to scatter families. Now, let me say something.
I'll take that as a compliment.
We'll take it to the bank.
He's a forensic
scientist. He's not blessing scattering the families. Let me say something.
Like I said, I don't scatter families.
Let me say this.
I tell the truth.
Let me make this concluding remark. Your position and the way you are sounding, the way you are passionate about it, is coming from a cultural background where the culture is if a man catches a woman let me finish. No, you can't argue with this. This is our culture. If a man, Igbo culture.
I'm going to bring it down to the UK.
I'm going to tell you that as well.
Yes.
If a man catches a woman with another man, the woman will leave the house. If your wife catches you with another woman, the woman leaves the house.
No,
but that's our Igbo culture.
But culturally,
I know.
Culturally, if a woman gives birth, whether that child is the man's own or the husband's own or not, is the husband. Yes.
Yeah. So
that is in your culture. But that's not in science.
In terms of infidelity.
That's not how science interprets.
I'm not a forensic expert.
That is why we need to bring it into the world because we are taking over the world in terms of trying to tell the truth.
Come to the UK here, more men
you can't be bringing a primitive style in this modern society. It doesn't work.
In the UK here and in the US, more men are kicked out of their houses for infidelity. Is that not true?
So you will not encourage men to do.
No, it's not. The man doesn't get. No, it's not true.
I will not.
Wait, one of you are lawyers. You are aware that if a man, according to UK law, that if a man discover that a child is not biologically his, he can go to court and apply that he's not going to pay for child.
Exactly, you cannot enforce. That's what I'm saying.
He can't pay for child support. You know that. He can even
if he wants to pay.
If he wants to pay, then
that's his own decision.
Thank you guys very much.
But you said I need to make it clear that I'm not coming from a cultural perspective Because the UK law and the US law, we're actually seeing that. And especially in this UK we're living, men also have right to say, I don't want to pay for child support for a child that's not biologically mine. It has nothing to do with me, myself. As someone who has worked in the UK for years, I actually know what it is.
I tell you, 50% of men in this UK
they don't
have stepdaughters and step.
Because they know, because they know that the biological father.
Honesty, I think this DNA works negatively against women. The reason I say this is because
definitely there's no way it can work against the women because
hang on Dan.
Because it is women who understand who actually
more promiscuous
and the custodian of sex.
Dan,
it's not the men. They know who actually ejaculated in them. So it is their own job to actually say this child belongs to this man. And tell the truth, stick to the truth. Don't lie about it. That's what we are standing on.
A man might be more promiscuous than the wife. Might sleep with 100 women. Then the woman might only sleep once. Except that she had gotten pregnant.
So
because of that pregnancy, she will bear the consequences forever.
Like I'm talking about the hormones women release. You guys are forgetting how emotional women are attached to their sex partners than men.
Thank you so much for this episode. I think there's so much to unpack, and it's been a very engaging and thought-provoking session. Thank you, Barrister. Thank you, forensic expert. I would suggest that you take it easy in the structure of marriage. You look at other space of DNA, the getting kind and so on. Thank you all. And see you again in the next episode.
Thanks.